All right, so thinking about the final three that we have here, it's an interesting final three for sure. I would say that I'm leaning towards Justin just because that was the guy I worked with the most, and I understand where he's coming from, and the whole idea that he played like flip flopping and all that kind of stuff. I more saw it as he has a lot of energy sometimes when he speaks, but everything he was doing made sense to me for his game. Like there wasn't anything that he did that I was like, what is he doing? So I think I'm leaning more towards Justin. And that being said, I'm still open to hear because I didn't get to play with Rob and Daniel, so I'm still willing or open to hear arguments and possibly switch my vote. Uh, it would have to be a really good argument. I'd have to hear some things that I haven't heard yet, but from what I've heard from the jury, it seems like they didn't really differentiate their games that much. The only thing that I've noticed is that they said that Daniel was definitely more of a strategic threat than Rob was, and so that definitely gives the edge to Daniel for that case. But for sure, I'm listening to what they have to say. They're in a tough spot overall because they both played so similarly. So we'll have to see how this goes. For me right now, it's Justin, Daniel, Rob. But obviously, these speeches can always change things. And the one thing I'm looking forward is some honesty, and hopefully they're not just telling me what I want to hear. So, and luckily I get to start the question, and my question is one that's very easy for people to mess up if you're trying to suck up to people. So we'll have to see what they do, because I'll tell you right now, if anyone sucks up and tries to you know tries to just suck up and get votes right off the first question, then it's already a turn off for me. I'm just looking for people being genuine, tell me their games, and possibly for Daniel and Rob, tell me something that you did that I really don't know about, and that would be really good for their games. Otherwise, it seems like for me, my vote's going towards Justin.
It sucks being the last member of the jury. But yeah, if I go to the end, I probably win, and I understand why they got me out. However, I wasn't lying. I think Justin has played the best game. He's maneuvered his way from the bottom, and he's controlled ever since the Jared vote. I'm going to try my best to convince the rest of the jury to vote for Justin, because I really do think he deserves to represent this season of Expedition Online. Daniel played a decent game, but he kind of hid behind people at the beginning, and he was on the bottom after Justin took control. And then Rob was a GOAT, and he is a GOAT, and he played a terrible game. So, yeah, I definitely think Justin's most deserving. That's where my vote's going, and I hope that's where a lot of people's votes go to, because he best represents the season by far. And, yeah, I hope he wins. If it wasn't me, I hope it's him. So, yeah, I hope it's him.
So we are down to our last three, and we're heading into the Final Ascent, and it's really exciting. It's been a really great season, and I'm really genuinely proud of all three of the men that have gotten there. Especially that their original team, Janet, that does give me a little bit of pride, just because I, from the beginning, felt that our team was incredibly strong and had a lot to offer, so it's really nice to see the three of us get there. I, at this point, am leaning towards Daniel for my vote, just because I think that he's personally played the best game. He has found and played advantages. He's always played them almost always correctly. He had really solid alliances that took him to the end, and he had some exemption wins when it really counted. I would also say that Justin is a strong contender. He had a really interesting journey. I think early in the game, he didn't really know what was going on and was perceived as being clueless, and it ended up working out in his favor because he was underestimated and counted out fairly early, and then took control by flipping on me. I actually think that could potentially be a game-winning move. And in essence, he really took my spot because I planned to be at the end with two Janet members that I felt that I could beat. So Justin is definitely a strong contender and someone that I wouldn't have expected. That being said, I just don't know if there was enough finesse to his game. He made a lot of mistakes, and I think a lot of it came down to luck for him getting there. And then unfortunately for Rob, I just feel like he's dead in the water. I'm just not sure that he's going to be able to convince the jury that he deserves it. I just don't know that he has the resume or the moves or even the connections. Rob was playing up this kind of worried persona, and it's good and consistent branding, but it's also not the branding that this jury wanted. And I think that's what's so key about pleading your case to the jury and how you play this game is you have to think about the jury that you have and play to what they want to hear and what they want to see. Now, that being said, I am a little disappointed with the jury's reaction last night. Of course, they were upset about Gideon going, and I can understand that to a degree, but people were literally claiming that it was a bad move that Daniel and Rob wanted to eliminate Gideon, but they have consistently said that if he got to the end, they would all vote for him. So I'm a little concerned that they're kind of getting bitter at this point and might vote for Justin out of spite. So we'll see what happens. I'm leaning towards Daniel. I'm not set in stone. If Justin can convince me, then I would absolutely vote for him. I just hope that the rest of the jury has a little bit more of an open mind because I felt that they were very salty last night and very in their feelings. And we'll see what happens. And everyone can vote for whoever they want. That's your prerogative as a juror. I just was a little disappointed at some of the behaviors last night. I think it felt a little hypocritical. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited for this evening.
Alrighty, we got our jury confessional right now going on based on our final three in the game. We have Rob, Justin, and Daniel all made it there, so congrats to them. But we're going to talk a little bit about what they've shown us so far and see kind of where we stand. I guess I'll start with Daniel just because he was kind of on our side the most, or on my side the most, sorry, I should say. Had a decent connection with him. I thought we could have possibly went far. Unfortunately, he turned on me with the rest of them. I don't know whose doing it was. I don't think it would have been him. I think it might have been more Maddie or Jared. But anyways, they voted me off. But he seems to be playing a pretty strong game. Some strategy in there that's pretty obvious to see. Couple compass plays, couple challenge wins. So I think he has a decent resume and he was nice to a lot of people. I don't think he really got into it with anyone, so I don't see any bitterness there anywhere. So he should have a pretty good chance of getting some good votes. I'm kind of leaning his way, but I'm very much open to final speeches and making sure that if people have something to say that maybe nobody saw, can very well change my vote. Second, we'll go with Justin. He's been playing a little bit more of a flashy, fireworky game, as we could say, because fireworks seems to be the word of the season for us. He's kind of flip-flopping back and forth, but he made it very obvious that he was doing it most of the time. Couple moves to kind of get himself farther and just kind of change up the game a bit. So as much as some people may not respect that, at least it kind of worked for him, and it is what it is. Again, also very good at challenges. Couple challenge wins. I'm not sure if he had any advantages. I don't believe so, but I could be wrong. So he has a pretty decent resume too. Like I said, he's got a little bit of fireworks in him though, so he could have rubbed some people the wrong way. So he might have to work a little bit for some of those votes, but he's definitely in the running as well. Lastly, we have Rob. Very loyal, very nice guy. But game-wise, I don't know what this guy has done, if anything. I honestly don't know what to say here. I feel like he's just playing the game for the sake of playing. Like he applied as a joke or something and then got picked. And he's just doing it because he doesn't want to back out or quit. But he doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't look like he wants that full-on play. Or at least he's got a weird strategy that I don't understand or have never heard of before. So hopefully he comes with a heavy speech then, or he's able to explain some stuff. Because other than that, as of right now, I don't see him getting any votes. So I think it's going to be a tight race between Justin and Daniel. So, but we'll see where we go from there. Like I said, as of right now, if I had to pick right this second, my vote would be Daniel. But I'm definitely open. Like I said, I do respect, or at least understand, Justin's game and what he played. And I do see him as a competitor. So it will be a nice battle. Take care.
All right, we have reached the final ascent. We've got three very different guys in the final three. Each of them played a very different game, and I'm gonna start with Rob. Rob played like a dog. Rob is super loyal. Rob is strong. He's got a great personality. Social game is great. Everyone likes Rob, right? He's like a Labrador. We all love Rob. Rob had a lot of opportunities to shake things up, blindside people, make some good strategic moves, and he didn't do it. So he doesn't really have a ton on his resume. He also doesn't have any exemption challenge wins or any advantage findings or anything like that. So sitting next to Daniel and Justin, that's gonna be kind of hard for Rob tonight. We've got Justin, who I originally wanted to work with at the beginning of this game. Slowly but surely, Justin turned into a little snake throughout the game. He played a very sneaky, schemy game. And I can't say I don't respect it. I think it takes a lot of courage to play a game the way that he played it. I don't know if I just don't feel good about him though. And I don't know if I really want to reward that. He also targeted me a lot. He would tell me one thing, go behind my back and tell the original Team Ethans another thing. And if I hadn't found that advantage, I would be gone because of him. I was gone because of him because of something else, but you know. So yeah, I would say Justin played this game like a snake. And then we have Daniel. Daniel played this game kind of like a lion. He never really was on the bottom of anything. He didn't have to crawl his way up. He was in a very dominant position this whole game. So I think a lot of the times the jury is looking at Daniel and being like, well, what kind of like big moves did he do? He didn't really have to blindside people or be all sneaky and schemy because he's been in the majority this whole time. And he put his trust in the right people. Daniel also has been incredible at exemption challenges and incredible at finding advantages and playing them correctly, except when he didn't play his compass when I went home. So anyways, we've got three really different gameplays, three really different guys. I don't think Rob is going to get many votes tonight, if at all. So I think it'll be a toss-up between Daniel and Justin. And I'm looking forward to seeing the kind of fire that the jury brings. There's some people in this group that are not going to hold back. So these three better get ready. Fasten your seatbelts, guys. Let's go.
Rob, I love him, but what has he done to put himself out there? I think Rob is a great strategist and an even better person, but in terms of gameplay compared to Daniel and Justin, I can't recall any significant move orchestrated by Rob. I understand loyalty and sociability are important to the game, but those are only part of what you need to truly play. Where are the risks Rob has taken? When has he been on the outs for something he's done? When have the dynamics of the game shifted because of him? If I'm being honest, he's been too passive this entire season. He let the game play out in front of him and he didn't jump in. And there were so many opportunities he could have taken up to propel him to the same level of playing as the others. When we went to the wheel, for example, he could have switched his vote and taken out Daniel, who's arguably a better player than him, social-wise and challenge-wise. That alone would have made him a more formidable and respectable player. But everyone's style is different. If this is how he plays, so be it. Good for him. I just would have liked to see more. For Daniel, was it really the correct choice to take Justin, who has similar or even better gameplay than him, over Gideon, who's already been voted out, and over me, who's been on a losing streak and has been saved night after night by moves orchestrated by Justin? As a therapist, you think he'd make the decision not to take the one causing fireworks. Daniel's been a strong competitor in challenges and in social moves, but in my opinion, bringing a well-seasoned, flashy strategist to Final 3 over the 18-year-old kids who've been saved by luck time and time again was a big mistake. A mistake that might cost him the win. Justin kind of appeared out of nowhere. People thought he was absent-minded, clueless, and lost for the entire first half of the season. And to be fair, he kind of was lacking for the entire first half of the season. He didn't attempt to make alliances, to sway votes, or even attend shelter some nights. He was only half present. But then we saw an explosive crossroads, and that's when his name was made. Although he was saved by Kyle's compass, he took advantage of still being here, and I respect that. Eventually, he went on to throw me and Gideon under the bus and shimmied his way to Final 3, right under Rob and Daniel's noses. Props to him. It really is a rags to riches story, from shadow to spotlight.